You don't sound too enthusiastic. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sounds more like it. I would like to acknowledge the Vice Dean and all the academic staff from the Humanities Department here this morning. And I'd also like to welcome you. You are the esteemed guest. You are the class of 2017. Give yourselves a round of applause. So about 15 years ago, I sat where you sat, and so my speech is really directed to you personally. There is so much to be excited about. Seriously, there is just so much to be excited about. But in the first instance, I want to congratulate you for passing matric and getting through high school. That is often an exhilarating time, but it's also exhausting. So well done. You also happen to be what they call the 1 in 10. So for whatever reason, you are an outlier, as Vice Dean spoke about. Because in South Africa, only 1 in 10 university applications makes it through. So you are that 1 in 10. And if, for instance, you didn't grow up having platinum spoon or gold spoon or silver spoon, you should be very lucky that you've earned your own bronze spoon. Now this bronze spoon offers you so many benefits, but many more responsibilities. So if you continue on this path, you're obviously on a super high academic trajectory. If you continue on this path and you just be diligent and you just do the right thing and you keep your head above water, you're likely to be what we call A players. So I've worked for JP Morgan Investment Bank, FMCGs like Procter & Gamble, and those are regarded Fortune 500 companies. And you keep your head above water, you're the type of people that will be employed and get the best jobs. You'll be the type of person to get the fat bonuses and the big corner offices. And it certainly would not surprise me if a lot of you made it into that top 1% and became the CEO. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if any of you guys achieved those. But I certainly would be slightly disappointed and skeptical. So my skepticism is really informed by the fact that there are more people who die from obesity than who die from starvation. There are more people now who die from old age than who die from heart disease. And what that tells us essentially is that the world has moved so much in trying to advance us as a human race. And so really, that's kind of been done. You have had those individuals sitting in those corner offices, fighting for the coffee machine, fighting for, the expensive parking bay. And that's not to say it's not something worthy. It's not to say that it's not something to aspire for. It's not to say that it's not important. But do you really want to hang out in a 2x2 prefabricated office when you can go out there and do important things that need to be done? Now, I'm not saying that we should undermine the value of corporate. I mean, I've worked at, like I said, JP Morgan Investment Bank, Procter & Gamble, Development Properties, and Absa Wealth. I've done that, and so I know. And so I know that there's more that is expected of you. You are said to be the I generation, right? You're the Generation Z, born into technology. And so with all your technological prowess and all your knowledge and connectivity, I don't understand why you would want to repeat the same dreams, the same deferred dreams and scaffolding of generations that have gone by. Like, look, Starbucks is great. Starbucks has one of the best, firms in the world. Recently, the CEO, Howard Skoll, said that he would employ 10,000 refugees because of a parochial view from the divided states of America that say people that live on the same planet can't share the same resources. So he's done well. People get great educational opportunities to work at Starbucks. And so it's a great corporate firm. It's a great ambassador of what a firm should be like. In South Africa, we've got a company called The Missing Link. And they're great creative outfit. You come to work in your Converse and your jeans, you got your hair all dyed, you swagging your hair with some grey ombre like that beautiful lady over there. You can do that and create epic magic. So I'm not really here to bash corporate, but I'm really trying to appeal to you that you're not the 1% that I would have thought of would go on and work for someone. I'm expecting that after getting through the challenging application process at UJ, getting through to being that 1 out of 10, you need to be in the process of making something. You know, the previous generations were great doers. They worked really hard. A-type personalities who worked really, really, really hard. But you have seen that that is not enough to change the world. All is not well in Denmark, and all is not well with the world. So you need to bring something different. You need to have a market proof prowess to be able to make it into society today. I expect you to not look to Silicon Valley for the answers. Everybody wants to be Mark Zuckerberg. He's fantastic. He's great. You know, I've met him. I've had tea with him. He's like totally awesome. I'm joking. I have ambitions. You know, so it's fantastic. It's really, really great to have all these individuals who created an ecosystem from scratch that made sense that at that time, with the technology at that time, organically that would happen. But that's not why you in Africa. That's not your call. We've got so many social ills. Who's going to solve that? We've got so many challenges. We've got a huge marginalized and disenfranchised community who don't have access to even data, let alone education. We've got a defunct health system. We've got 96 people who literally died because of incompetent politicians. And so if we are to look only to politicians, and only to economists, and only to scientists to run society, we are in dire straits. And that's where you come in. That's where the outlier comes in. I know you promised your mother that you're going to be studious and you're going to do your best. So keep that promise. That's fine. But being in university is more than just about being studious and keeping your head down. You have an obligation that when you see injustice, you have to call it. That when you hear injustice, you have to name it. You must do it. And if you don't do it now, it will catch up with you. University is about learning how to live. Learning how to live. It's about connecting with others, and it's about learning how to make it through that day when you don't feel like going to class, when you don't have the resources, when you haven't studied enough, when you don't have your friends, when your boyfriend's broken up with you, when your girlfriend's hooking up with somebody else in class. You have to learn how to make it through the daily living. You really have to. And so I was here a short while ago when this looked totally different. And I obviously have been asked to share a few tips with you about how I made it through. And look, I can give you advice about how to live and have a successful university career. I can certainly do that. But it ultimately is up to you. You have to bring your intention, you have to bring your energy, and you have to bring your vulnerability. That's the only way you learn. You learn by sharing. You have to bring all of yourself. And so I must also obviously highlight that you guys have it tougher than I did. I mean, the only things that I had to contend with when I came here was heightened political tensions, was language barriers, and you know, it was just really dealing with things like moving. I mean, I remember my mother on this day of registration. I come from Kimberley, and I came from the Northern Cape, and I didn't know anybody. Literally, we registered, kissed by, in her car back to Kimberley, and I had to fend for myself, not coming from a central place. So I relate with a lot of you that picked up your hands that are not from Johannesburg. I feel you. But you guys have it tough. You have a raw deal. You have to do all of those things that we had to do with the 3 triple sins of social media: Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. You know, when I heard about the Snapchat, I didn't even understand. I was like, do you have to snap and then chat? Like, how does it work? You know, and eventually my daughter, who's 8 years old, downloaded it for me. And then I understood, and I felt really stupid. So I can't imagine having had a successful career, how it would work out if I had the challenges of how many followers do you have? How many followers do you have on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook? You don't have any? You are gonna make it, girl. You're gonna win. So the first thing you need to do is not to panic. Don't panic. I know it sounds crazy, like we used to panic over the F7. So essentially F7, by half year, the first year of the first semester, you know if you're getting an F7 or not. And you get some sort of warning, and everybody talks about this F7. So coming from Kimberley, where everybody that comes from a small town, whether it's Welcome, Kimberley, Limpopo, Polokwane, whatever the case is, the last thing you want to do is go back into a small community, in June and have failed and never leave. So F7 was something we seriously panicked about. So don't panic, but if you're gonna panic, do it for 6 months and then get over it. You will not die, you will not fail, you will not be noticed if you miss just 1 or 2 classes in the semester. And I'm not talking about going to the doctor's office, and I'm not talking getting a fake I'm sick. I'm just talking about collecting yourself in your room or wherever you are and saying, I don't have the emotional capacity to face this today. If you're giving in 100% anyway, and you're present that 80% of the time, that 100% of that 80% is enough to get you by. Do not get yourself in a knot about university. It is mostly fun, promise you. So that's the first thing, don't panic. The second thing is, be greedy and curious. You have to be greedy. You have to take advantage of every single thing. This is the only time in your adult life when you will have everything literally given to you on a silver platter. Make use and take advantage of all the cultural codes, all the sporting codes. Like, don't join some organization just because a cute guy will join it. It's wasting your time. And just don't do that. But really, really get involved. You've got the student center, you've got the learning center. Make use of information in this place right here. You will have your future co-creators or makers in employment. You will have your mentors even. You will have your teachers even. Some of you will rise up above the rest, and some of you will keep on floating. And it's fine. But this is the one time that you are going to have to meet your best friends. I've met my best friends in first year, and we're still friends 15 years later. You know, I met my husband at UJ. I'm not encouraging people to be getting married, hitching rides, and any of that. But you meet your people, you cultivate your clan here. So, like, really be greedy. But this is the thing. Don't befriend unkind people. Like, kick them to the curb. Like, befriend kind people. We need more creation and more compassion. And those people that are in your circle are going to be your influencers. You're going to build your tribes with. And so you can always suss out, you know, the guy that's about to be a prick wants to tell you that he knows everything. Every time you speak, he's like into your next conversation and into your next sentence. Just don't make friends with pricks. Make friends with really, really kind people, and you'll be halfway there. And so, be creative. And this one is for me a little serious, because everybody probably thinks about, you know, making YouTube videos, getting your name out there. You guys will be fine. You're part of that generation. That's not really being creative. What I mean to say is that when I came here in 2000, I was one of 18 girls who was sitting outside Libone house. And we were the only black kids in that area, and I couldn't figure out, like, why are 18 young black kids from Welkom, Kimberley, Limpopo, like, in this outside residence, and all these other tall, big, gorgeous, I might add, you know, white male Afrikaners and beautiful white females sitting in reds. And it was very uncomfortable, but you have to get creative. And so I walked up to the rector's office, not knowing anything, having a big head, like probably most of you, because you are, you know, coming from a trip, and you're the A players, and we have head boys and head girls, and really thinking I've got this chutzpah. And I walked up into the rector's office and I say, you know, there are 18 of us, and we're living outside, and it's like unjust, and it's not cool, and what's going on? It's the year 2000, you know, why is there this blatant racism still going on? And he said to me, Mevrou, gaan SR kantoor toe, you know, and slammed the door in my face. And there was, I went to the SRC office, and I started a protest. And we started to protest on literally the 4th week of being in school. And within 2 years after hard work, cultivating a new culture for the Lebona ladies residents, you know, creating new names, calling ourselves Ash Alanes, and all of these things, we were very integral in getting Lebona inside Res. And now it's inside Res, it's on campus, and it's one of the big houses or residences in UJ. And we built that, a group of 18 girls who didn't come from some mainstream city. And I'm not trying to show you that you need to protest and be loud, but when you see injustice, you need to call it out, because history will remember you for what you've done. You need to get involved and do the right thing. And so we were forever, I mean, we ended up being, you know, house committee members, and I was the prim of that residence for about 2 years. And that thing sticks into your CV. And people ask you, what's this about? You know, what happened here? And for you to be able to say that in the year 2000, when I was 18 years old, I was able to start a residence at UJ and it's still there today. That is a legacy. That wasn't the intention, but the point is follow your curiosity. Like get rough about it, get interested in yourself, get sticky about it. Like have an affair with the thing that you feel most passionately about. Now when you have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or somebody, you get super excited about them. You research them, you Google them on Facebook, you see who their friends are. Get that way about your own curiosity, about the things that make you burn up, about the things that keep you up at night. That is the thing that's going to matter on your CV. The other one is be compassionate, like be kind. We've seen how an unkind world and how an incompassionate world can cause the crises of today. We've got Donald Trump telling how women should use their uteruses and yet blocking away the Syrians coming to the US. And for me, it's like, if you don't really understand that fighting for a right of a fetus is more important than fighting for a right of a 5-year-old, don't make that about compassion. That's deeper than compassion. That's patriarchy. And so don't get comfortable. We're getting so comfortable in the mediocre. Everybody's afraid in South Africa. You cannot speak out against the government. You cannot speak out against Julius. You cannot speak out against Zuma. You cannot speak out against Lucy. You cannot speak out against Peter Mildred from the Freedom Front. You cannot speak out because you will not get a job. You will be isolated. You will be marked. There will be a mark of David on you. You cannot afford to get into that narrative. You are not here to be political. You're here to be politicians if you're studying politics. You're here to change society. Are you going to be the anvil or the hammer? You know, if you're going to be the anvil, somebody's going to hammer their agenda onto you. If you're going to be the hammer, you get to decide where the narrative goes. Own it. You have two very profound elixirs of life in you, and that is your creativity and that is your courage. And I think Anais Nin said it very well when she says, your life contracts and expands in direct proportion to your courage. And so the last thing I want to talk about is do not be afraid of failure. Do not be afraid of failure. But what you must do is you must shun fear. We are all so governed by fear. You know, if I don't pass, this semester, what are people going to say? You know, if I don't make it in the record time, what are people going to think? If I don't get in and be headhunted, like, am I not important? All of those fears start now, and they creep into your career at corporate, and you're not the one raising your hand because you think you don't want to be the nerd. The people sitting in the front, the people raising their hands, they get to direct the narrative. So you must make a decision now. Are you going to be just studious and get your degree? That's okay. That's okay. You'll get by. But are you going to be part and parcel of the community that really starts the narrative, really owns the content? That's where the power lies. In my first year here, I came and I was so arrogant, and I stood for the SRC presidency in first year, not knowing what the issues were, and I was just like, I can do this, I was this in high school, and I did this and I did that, and I failed dismally. I think like 5 people voted for me. It was a massive humiliation. But then 2 years later, pulled myself towards myself, knew the issues better, was able to dictate what narrative I wanted to stand for, and I stood for SRC chairperson, and I got it. And that's not the point of the story. From that SRC chairpersonship, somebody called Chris Barron called me from the Sunday Times, wanted to do an interview, and then somebody read it who was the head hunter at Procter & Gamble, and that's how I got my first job. Because I wanted to get involved, because I wanted to get sticky with issues. I've never had to interview for a job, thank God. But it wasn't because I wanted a job. It's really because I was getting involved with the things that move me. So find the thing within you that moves your dial. You will pass. You've proven that you've got the academic excellence and the wherewithal. What you're here to do is to learn where you want to be in life and what kind of conversations you want to be having. So really, I just want to emphasize, your life contracts and expands in direct proportion to your courage. So be courageous. Thank you.